If you're not accomplishing your goals, your objectives aren't being hit, your strategy is chaotic, everything feels out of control, there's one thing broken and you can see it. It's an invisible pattern. And that's what I want to talk to you today so that you can accomplish those big goals and be strategic. See, the thing is, for most leaders, the idea is let's come up with our big ambitious goal. Let's get everybody to align around our objectives and they'll figure it out from there. That's not a bad strategy. It's a typical leadership approach. The truth of it is all that is goal setting. It is not actually thinking about strategic implementation and everything it takes to get from where you are to where you want to go. And so that's what we want to talk about today is the invisible pattern that drives success. And it's simple to understand in 3 steps. I like to think of it as the universal success formula called VIM, vision, intention, and means. The cool thing about VIM is it's an engineered system, right? So instead of thinking about it as goal setting, it's a system of success that puts the 3 specific parts together that must be done, that must be integrated so that you can create success. Because when any one of those 3 components or 2 components are missing, it'll either be chaotic, it'll be out of control, or it'll just outright fail or drag on forever. So anytime you see chaos, anytime you see projects failing, falling apart, people don't seem to know what to do, your team is unsure, uncertain, you're missing deadlines, all that kind of stuff, you can come back down to VIM, vision, intention, and means. So what is VIM? Well, let's start first with vision. Vision is the thing you want. It's the big vision. It can be a mid-range vision. We have a lot of things that we want. So we're going to define the thing that we want. It's also going to be something that's clearly attainable, sustainable, and compelling. Usually motivates and inspires, but it at least clarifies. Even if it's not all that motivating, it helps everybody understand what is it that we want, where are we going, what are the outcomes and the results that we're chasing. That is clearly identifying vision as the first step. The next part of this is intention. Intention is where things often fall apart because we can't actually accomplish everything we want all the time, doing all the things, plus doing our status, our normal, keep the trains running, keep the lights on kind of activities, while also being intentional about doing new things for a big vision. So we have to really get clear on our intention, the behavior, the things that we'll do, and more importantly, the things that we'll stop doing, because we need to free up some capacity. We need to get some attention focus. We need to help people see exactly what it is that we're going to act on and other things that we may stop acting on with intention. So intention is sort of the thing that glues vision and intention together so that you have the right execution. And most times what's happening in organizations is they want to accomplish a goal, but they're not being intentional about it for various reasons. But the intentional part is what makes all the difference in how we actually shape what it is that we will do and what we won't do. So we've got to get clear on trade-offs. We got to get clear on our commitments. That's what intention helps us do so we can actually perform in the direction towards our vision. And then there's means. Means is all of our time. It's our tools. It's our resources. It's our capital. It's our budgets, everything that's going into our calendar. It's the systems we use. It's the software we have. It's the partners we can use. It's all these different ways that we create leverage and we create the actual means to produce an outcome, right? So our means is everything that we can put to bear according to the vision that we have in mind and our intentional execution, right? So we have to put these 3 things together, vision, intention, and means, in order to drive holistic execution towards the thing we want with intention, getting the right things done at the right time with the limited resources that we have available. So that's how we see vision, intention, and means working together. When there are no means, right, we just have a good idea and we want to move in a direction. But if we don't have skills, if we don't have talent, if we don't have the right people involved, those being our means, then it doesn't really matter the vision and intention because we can't execute well because we don't have the right parts and pieces, the right tools, the right people to help us get there. On the other hand, we have plenty of means. We have the right people. We have the right systems and all that stuff, but we can't clear our calendars. We can't provide strategic focus. We can't get people aligned. We can't get everybody on the same page. We can't get them in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. You've heard all that before. That means we lack intention. And there could be a lot of reasons for why we lack intention, but that's the diagnostic. You've got to get people aligned, going in the same direction, doing the right work at the right time for that vision. That's a clear destination that you have in mind. And the reason I bring all that up is because you need all 3 of these pieces working together, because without these 3 pieces, You'll devolve into chaos, disruption, distraction. There won't be a lot of resilience. Like even when people have the good intention, they have the ambition to do it, it'll devolve because things will fall apart and they'll start to get fractured and undisciplined. And so sometimes you start with your VIM being all together, vision, intention, and means. And then over time, you have reactions, you have fire drills, you have disruptions. And those disruptions can pick apart at your VIM. I call that your VIM is broken, right? So anytime you start seeing something that was making great progress is now starting to not make great progress, all you got to do is go back and diagnose. Where's the VIM broken? And this will help you step through the vision. Do we have the clarity of what we want? Or has something disrupted us and we need to have a new level of clarity of what we want based on this disruption so we can keep moving? Do we have the intention? Have we cleared calendars? Have we committed people? Have we made the necessary adjustments in our organization, made trade-offs in order to move towards it? Do we have the means, right? So we just step through those things. And anytime we want to diagnose where we might be having our most critical items falling apart, that's how we do it. Vision, intention, and means. And what I want you to think about is most of the goals that we set in our business, they're more long range. They might be an annual goal, they might be a quarterly goal, or at least a monthly goal, right? And so because they're long range, there's plenty of space in between where we are now and 30 days from now for all kinds of things to occur. And we usually want many things along the way to the big thing that we want. So let's just say that we have a 30-day goal and that goal is very specific. Well, you can assume that to get to a big outcome, the actual thing you want as a result, there's going to be multiple VIMs inside that. What I mean by that is if you had a scenario like you were going to try to improve the number of people in your sales pipeline by the end of the month and you were going to 20% improvement, maybe that results in, 20 people a week, right? That you're adding to your sales pipeline. Well, that means you're going to have incremental goals or incremental objectives that break down the end result you want, which I guess is 80 new people coming in your sales pipeline a month. You're going to break that down into smaller parts. Well, breaking that down into smaller parts will have subcomponents like number of phone calls, number of emails, number of outreaches, or whatever, right? So as you do that, your VIM has these little nested VIMs inside of it. So you have smaller things add up to the big thing. The reason I want to bring this out is because at any point, those VIM loops or those little VIM components can break and you need to be able to diagnose it quickly and see where things are falling apart. Because as they are stitched together, that kind of creates a field of vision so you can see all these moving parts together. So what you want to do is you want to start getting more and more clear about which VIM items are moving you towards these big goals, because we have VIM happening in our personal lives, we have VIM happening in our business lives, we have VIM happening because of other objectives that don't have anything to do with that, right? So it's not a linear concept. These are things that are stitched together. So the better job we are, the better we are at being able to actually turn these into the individual steps along the way. We can create this sort of footpath of VIM items that help us get there. And anytime it's not working, we can just diagnose where the VIM is broken. So this really helps us see how goals and objectives can be turned into a VIM statement, vision, intention, and means, and then how those goals and objectives can be broken down even better or smaller by the characteristic VIM components that will help bring that together. Okay. So now you can see VIM in terms of individuals, teams, bigger organizational goals, all the way up to the big results that you're trying to drive. So that's how VIM works, practically speaking, from a big perspective, all the way down to VIM for this week on a single person and how it applies to the bigger objective. What's their VIM as it relates to the bigger VIM? The reason that we do this ultimately is because we want to drive results. We want to work on the right things at the right time. We want to bring impact. We want to actually make a difference in our work. And every single person on the team has that same desire, but usually when they're hindered or there's something standing in the way, we're going to see that turn up in their means or their intention or their vision. So do they have the clarity? Do they have the ability to make trade-offs for it? And do they have the means for it, right? So now you have a better way to understand what's happening with your teams and how to be strategic with them and to diagnose where there might be a breakdown. And when you do it in this format, anybody can call out the vision, the intention, and means, or they can diagnose their own issues with vision, intention, and means. So if you can create common vocabulary within the organization so that people are like, hey, what's the VIM on that? I'm not clear on what it is that we want or what the main vision is here, or I'm not sure how we're going to do that with intention. Like our calendars are full. It feels like this is going to require a lot of time, means, and I don't know where that time's going to show up on our calendar because we're already working long hours. Like that's the right kind of conversation to have. And VIM enables that kind of conversation because when you have healthy conflict and you have trade-offs and you have all these active conversations around the reality of what we say we want, and as it's connected to everything else that's going on, then we can actually be more strategic and we can be more effective. Because at the end of the day, that's really what we want, is we want to be effective as leaders, getting the right work done at the right time. This helps us always dial in so that we can be more effective. It's easy to get stuck. It's a lot easier to get unstuck with 4corequestions.com. That's a free framework I prepared for you. Go check that out. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. We'd love to chat with you there. And we've got some links in the description that can help you in your small business for impact planning and any strategic work you might be doing.